This may not be my normal show, but obviously, I need no introduction. Even you Smackdown fans must know when you're in the presence of greatness. And even the most dim-witted one of you recognizes a 10-time world champion when he sees one. Now you all saw that I took out Eddie Guerrero last Sunday at No Way Out and teamed up with this man in his Hell in a Cell match. It hurts me to say it, but sadly, most of you are probably too naive, or quite frankly, stupid to understand just why I did it.
Hey, he can't talk to you like that, Cole.
Well, here's why. As World Heavyweight Champion and greatest living superstar in this business today, I can tell you firsthand that a success story like mine takes more than just pure wrestling skill and athletic ability. To achieve all I've achieved in my unprecedented career, I've lived by values such as sportsmanship, integrity, and fair play.
Oh, please, did I just hear him right?
That's right. That's exactly why I'm here on Smackdown. Call me old-fashioned, but I believe that when a man earns a WWE title match, the general manager shouldn't stack the deck against him or try to cripple him before he gets it. I'm not gonna stand idly by and let Teddy Long, John Cena, or anyone else screw this man out of the main event at WrestleMania.
Hey, that's very sporting of him, Cole. He came all the way to SmackDown just to do that? I'll tell you what, Triple H, he's got integrity. Come on, don't you see what he's up to?
Well, that was a truly inspirational speech there, Trips. And it's all true. If there's one thing we know about Triple H, it's that he always sticks up for the little guy. Look at the word fairness in the dictionary. You'll see that scowling face, that sloping forehead, right next to it. But you know, as much as it makes me want to puke to admit it, we're on the same page here. It's not right for SmackDown to try and keep its #1 contender from his title shot at WrestleMania. Just like it's unfair for Raw to do the same to me. I earned a World Heavyweight title match on Raw. And I'll be damned if I let some Smackdown ass clown steal it from me.
Look what we have here. 2 Raw superstars who can't keep their nose out of SmackDown business. After your actions last week, Triple H, you probably expect me to call security and have you and Chris Jericho escorted from the building. But actually, I'm glad you're here, players. See, after Triple H messed with my main event at No Way Out, I got permission from Mr. McMahon to make a special cross-brand match if you showed up on SmackDown. So you 3 stay right where you are, because you're going to team up tonight against JBL, Kurt Angle, and the WWE Champion John Cena in a 6-man tag team match. And when it's over, we're going to find out once and for all which title our #1 contender is going to challenge for at WrestleMania. Holla, holla, holla.
I gotta say, Theodore Long has been ahead of the curve since he came back to SmackDown. He anticipated Triple H showing up again tonight, and he was ready, Taz.
I'll say a 6-man cross-brand tag match? That kind of rock-a-buster would be in a main event anywhere, anytime. And it's here tonight on Smackdown.
I think the SmackDown locker room is extremely...
I spit in the face.
Where's he going?
Looks like he's bailing out in a hurry.
JBL and Cena are beating the hell out of Jericho and Triple H. and their partner got the hell out of the ring.
Can't say they didn't have that coming, Cole. You stick your nose in Smackdown business, you gotta expect to get it broken. And the #1 contender ain't dumb. He's got a title match at WrestleMania to stay healthy.
But which title will it be? Will he endure Theodore Long's challenges to get a WWE title match, or run away to Raw and face Triple H for the World Heavyweight title?
Teddy Long can do his worst. I'm a SmackDown superstar. I'm staying here and challenging Cena for the WWE title at WrestleMania. Forget this. Triple H looks like easy pickings after that attack. I'm jumping to Raw and going for the World Heavyweight title.
Well, it doesn't take a genius to figure out why I'm here, so I'll get right down to business. Triple H, as you know by now, I'm coming for your World Heavyweight title this Sunday at WrestleMania. I got tired of playing Teddy Long's games. In fact, there's only one game left for me to play, and that's you, Triple H. The game. So if you've got any guts, I'm calling you out for a WrestleMania preview. Right here, right now.
So you're calling out Triple H? Is that right, Junior? What are you gonna do? Finish the job that your Smackdown pals started on him last Thursday? Well, you might have come after Triple H's title thinking he was easy pickings. But first, you've got to face Y2J in a no disqualification Iron Man match right now. I'm gonna take you downtown to Chinatown. And by the time I'm done, you won't be in any shape for a World Heavyweight title match this Sunday. Which means I'm gonna get my title match at WrestleMania after all. And we'll never, ever have to see your face on Raw again.
Alright, so welcome back with Beano Mac, but today we're going to continue our playthrough of WWE Smackdown vs. Raw 2006, and yep, we have chosen Raw. I probably, for myself, I should have really gone for, I should stay on Smackdown, because that feels like the more complete story, but on top of that, they had the weird thing at this time, like I think it was 2006 and 7, where to unlock the world titles, you had to win them in season, and in hindsight, I should have just stuck with SmackDown, because I don't think there's a way to win the World Heavyweight, to win the WWE Championship or whatever on, if you're on the Raw brand. So I guess I kind of just screwed myself there, but oh well. I still have all my stuff on the memory cards at home. This is an emulator. It's a demonstration. None of what I actually do in this really matters at the end of the day, because this is all just for the footage, you know what I mean? So the reason why I went with Raw, though, is because I feel like, Triple H, he put his ass on the line to help me in that Hell in a Cell, took out his, Eddie Guerrero for us, which, come on, like, he had the freaking, there was the sledgehammer right next to Eddie Guerrero's body. Who else do you think would have done it? Although it does have to make me wonder, did Chris Jericho have anything to do with that? But anyway, to continue on my point, though, Triple H came in, he helped us at Hell in a Cell with No Way Out and take out the enemy. It was for selfish purposes. It was like, hey, you know what? If I help you, you help me. You don't go after my title. Capiche? Well, what's more of a heel move than turning heel on a heel while being a heel? Yeah, think of that one. That said, though, I didn't know that I was going to have a goddamn Iron Man match. So, I don't know. If you guys enjoy watching that stuff, great. Which, I think there was even one time where I did an Iron Man match, and it was actually pretty close. because of the difficulty I'm playing on, which right now is still hard. I'm going to probably go to the Legend and, my Smackdown run. But I am having a bit of trouble here on hard still. So we'll see how it goes, though. I got to prove to you guys, I got to prove my manhood here. I got the cojones. It feels like Chris Jericho is actually a pretty big part of the season mode. Despite, I feel like the last few years of Chris Jericho and WWE at this time were mostly uneventful. He had a pretty big, feud with, surrounding Trish Stratus and Christian that people still talk about at this time. And, that was WrestleMania 20 and whatnot. But, I feel like he wasn't doing too much, like, in memorable storylines after that. I mean, he did have his thing where he lost to John Cena and was, taken out in an embarrassing fashion after losing because it was like, if he lost, he got fired or something like that. But, I don't know. Apparently a lot of people hated that at the time because, like, fans are kind of weird in the sense where it's like, everything's always got to be respectful. But, like, when you're a heel and you're playing a heel character, you don't have to exit in that way, you know what I mean? Like, people also say the same thing for Lita, but at least with Lita, she admittedly did say, like, yeah, I'm not really comfortable with that. Whereas with Chris Jericho, he was like, hey, I'm all behind this, I'm a jackass, and I came in as a jackass. I wanted to go out as a jackass, was screaming, having a hissy fit and whatnot, looking as pathetic as possible, but I thought I was... I thought I could catch it. Ooh. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do agree there's a degree of respect that needs to be paid. But, I mean, I think we've also seen, how many times have we seen, I guess it wasn't commonplace around this time, but how many times have we seen, someone, like Ric Flair say he's done, Shawn Michaels say he's done, stuff like that, and then they, Stone Cold saying it's done, and then they come back for another match. And it's kind of like, I'm someone who likes to preserve legacies, right? Like, I like to let things go and look at the good times, because a lot of times, nothing good lasts forever. You keep going with something, and eventually, it's you're gonna get the bad times. That's kind of what we've seen with all cases of that. I mean, TNA Ric Flair, okay, I think that he had some entertaining moments, mainly the Jay Lethal, promo that they had and stuff like that. But I don't know. I thought his tag team or managerial or whatever with AJ Styles was pretty lame, and I thought his match with Hogan was pretty lame too. And then the last match, I mean, come on, let's not even get started on that. I mean, the dude literally almost died. I think it was twice almost in the same match. I think he had a heart attack. And I don't know, we'll see. I mean, is it really going to be his last match? I mean, it was like well over 10 years after he said his last match was in WWE as well, which is crazy. But that said, I'll also say this to Ric Flair. He had to do it to get the money, because he had so many divorces and he had the bills to pay. So on that end, I do feel bad for him. But at the same time, you also have to acknowledge the reason he has to do that is due to his own mistakes that he's made in life, So I think that's why he always has to work in the wrestling industry to some degree, I feel like. And then you have, who else I mentioned? HBK, he did pretty good, but then he came back for the Saudi Arabia money, for that gigantic payday. And I don't know, like, I have to wonder, is it he was just way too far gone? Or was it he could have been potentially had a great match, but he didn't put the training in? I don't know, it's tough to say. I mean, once again, he was also someone who was, I forget exactly what year it was, but it was either almost 10 years or it was over 10 years that, HBK stepped in the ring. So, I mean, in all fairness to him, obviously, he's a little older as well. I mean, you can't really say it was going to be a good match, but at that same point, I mean, why step into? It's like, I get it, you're gonna get paid a lot of money, and you can't really blame them either. But I don't know. It's kind of like money or legacy, and you have to wonder too. Like, these guys are probably, you know, what more could they really want? You have to wonder, you know, like, they have a great career with a lot of money and stuff like that. I mean, was it like you just wanted like a jacuzzi or something, or you figured, you know, it just wasn't in the budget? I don't know. But honestly, there was also a lot of other factors in that match that kind of made it look pretty bad as well. You know, such as, you know, poor Triple H tearing, was it his pec or his bicep? Either way, he was kind of the guy that was like the lead in that match and ended up messing himself up. Then, of course, there's, you know, Undertaker. You know, he was kind of just, I think he was someone that kind of wrestled a few years longer than he should have, kind of looking for that big last match. And it's, I think the issue they had with it, if we're being honest, was he was trying to have that last big run, but I don't know if he was entirely capable of it. Like, if he didn't have that, you know, highly edited match with AJ Styles, you know, I don't think he would have been able to do it, you know. And, you know, I don't mean any disrespect to the guy. I mean, he had some of the greatest matches of all time, even later in his career. But, I mean, it's just his body, you know, I think kind of gave up on him after a while. Same with, actually, no, that is incorrect. I was going to list somebody else, but... But my point being, there's a lot of guys that I think kind of went past the point. I'm also kind of feel the same way about like the some like title belts as well, like the Intercontinental title. Like, I think it would have been for the best if they kind of just. I know a lot of people hated it because once again it's the legacies and stuff like that. But I think if they let go of the Intercontinental Championship at that time and replace it with a different one, I think that people would look at the legacy of the Intercontinental title as a whole much better. And yeah, is it cool? Like, you know, my man Carlito, you know, he's the only guy to ever win the freaking Intercontinental title their first night on the brand. That's a pretty cool achievement, as well as the United States one. That's kind of part of the reason why I like Carlito. You know, he has that accolade. I think that's, you know, not to be make a pun, but I think that is legitimately cool. And, you know, he's the only guy who can really say that. But wait, actually, no, there was Santino Marella, but he's the only guy to have both belts on his first night on a show. So there you go. But I don't know. Like, I feel like the United States title had a legacy to build. And I don't know, like, were they going to go for the freaking hardcore belt as, like, the other brand's title? Like, because I think, like, for a while, Raw, a little bit before they retired, they had the hardcore title. So it actually makes me wonder, was that going to be, like, the belt that replaced the, you know, Intercontinental title? I can't remember at the time. So I remember it got, like, combined with the United States title. And I think the European title either just got retired slowly, or I thought that was also combined with the United States title. But I don't know, fans are sentimental, they want things to last forever, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it's also important to note that I like to have legacies not necessarily die, but, you know, rest, we'll put it that way. I think it would, honestly, nobody's going to agree with me on this, but I think what they should do in WWE at this point is they should have a Raw and a Smackdown title. And it should be like, you know, I know it sounds terrible and you're like, oh, that's generic as hell and yada yada. Right? But I think they should have a belt to represent both brands here. And, you know, I think it should be something along the lines of almost, not necessarily a TV title, but like, okay, I represent this brand, I stay here. But then you have the world title itself, right? That represents, like, you know, I think WWE a lot of times has a big issue with presenting two brands but one world title. But, like, I think it would be cool if, you know, you had those two titles as the mid-card titles, but, like, they were belts that were actually used as, like, a way to say, all right, this guy really is going somewhere, you know, because if you only have those two titles, then theoretically, right, because obviously you have the world champion, but if you have enough talent and good talent, you know, this is a belt that means something because this is the best guy on the brand. The world champion, you know, he's not on the brands per se. He's going back and forth, and he does what he wants, and he has his storylines there, which would allow him to do storylines on both shows. And then, you know, you had the pay-per-view matches with, you know, the world title with that and, you know, whatever storyline. Kind of like the classic, you know, how it would be like with SmackDown and Raw back in the Attitude Era, where, you know, one storyline starts on Raw, then it continues on SmackDown and all that sort of stuff. But then, like, at the same time, you know, it isn't where, like, the mid-card titles, like the Raw and SmackDown titles, are not useless because, you know, it's like, hey, this guy's a big deal. He has this title. He's going to mean something. And they have done a pretty good job at, you know, with their mid-card titles. I mean, LA Knight and Gunther, I mean, those are definitely two guys that I feel like LA Knight is not going to be a guy that's going to have a main event run. It just doesn't sound like management as a whole is high on him. However, you know, he's definitely a worthy champion at the very least. And I think the WWE is just at this time, it's kind of got like a plethora of big stars. So I feel like, you know, if you had like Raw champion is, I don't know, maybe Seth Rollins or something, just to throw it out there. And maybe a SmackDown champion is AJ Styles. You know, those belts mean something. And maybe they could even put some weird stipulation in, like, okay, defend this title for this long, and then you get a shot at the world title. You know, at the pay-per-view of your choice, or maybe it's kind of like the Money in the Bank. You can cash it in at any time for a title shot, which, once again, I mean, I'm just spitballing, throwing random ideas out here, seeing, you know. But I don't know. I like I said, I mean, I love the U.S. title back in the day, the Intercontinental title, all sorts of stuff like that. And I think it would be cool if, like, they just had, like, a singular tag team title again. But once again, that also, you know, you have to have the responsibility of that as well, you know. Which, you know, has WWE proven that, or that they can, you know, handle that sort of stuff responsibly, or I don't know.
I don't think there's going to be anything left of these superstars by the time they're done. There may not be.
I'm trying to do it to where his stamina runs out, because I keep trying in these Iron Man matches just for the heck of it, especially once I'm, you know, where I need to be as far as wins go, to try and, like, do the thing where you both run out of stamina at the same time, so the ref does the countdown. Like, it's a cool feature that's only in this game, but the reason why it is like that is because it's just so hard to do, because obviously your stamina starts to already, like, it already starts to, you know, recharge and stuff like that. But it is a really cool feature. Something that nobody ever talks about in this game really that much that's in this game too is the blue steel cage option. That's pretty awesome. And I don't know why they didn't come back until, you know, I think WWE 13. But we have survived the Iron Man match, and the only reason I didn't fast forward that one is simply because you know, it's just this match, and then we have the WrestleMania match with Triple H. So it should be, you know, a pretty good match, though. And it's going to be Carlito's crowning achievement, the match he never got. But we took out the main contender to prove we deserve it, even though we already won the Royal Rumble. But as they say, it's time to play the game. I probably should have swapped into my entrance attire at some point during the game, but I don't know. I'm doing this first, and I'm going to do the challenges after, so you have to do, like, I think all the amateur challenges in the game to unlock it, but all it is literally just a shirt here, which it makes you wonder, if they have the models already, why don't they have it to where, like, in the WWE games, especially at this time, or even before that, it's like, even in, it's pretty much all wrestling games when you think about it, they never give you the option to just wrestle in entrance outfits when you think it'd be the easiest thing. I mean, like, you know, I don't think they're separate models, obviously, so I don't understand why they never really allowed for that. You know, Shawn Michaels and those weird metal chap things he wears. You know, obviously they did have it for Carlito in this. John Cena, you kind of have a little bit of it. It's pretty much just his jersey, but you don't get like the hat or, you know, the chain or anything like that. I think later on, like, they'd have John Cena with the shirts and stuff like that, where you could be, you know, they were playable. I think like 2K14, the last THQ game, really, when you think about it, because it, you know, it was like halfway through development or whatever when it closed. But you know, I think they kind of gave you like a whole bunch of John Cena shirts after you beat the whole mode. But yeah, I don't know. Unfortunately, all the outfits in these games kind of just got less and less over time for whatever reason. Which, as you can see, the models got better and stuff like that. But it's sad because Shut Your Mouth, I think everybody had an outfit. Some people had like 3 outfits. Maybe even some people had like 4 or something. But I think it was 3. It was like the most. And they were based off of like, you know, 2001 and 2002 respectively. And it was great. You know, you had Kurt Angle with the hair. And you had Kurt Angle without it. You had, you know, classic gimmicks of characters. Like Devon was Reverend Devon at that time. But he also had his Dudley Boy outfit. So, I mean, they had a lot of cool stuff, you know, that you could call back to, and the entrances and stuff like that, or entrances, the freaking classic outfits and stuff like that, and then it just kind of slowly got less and less, and even in Here Comes the Pain, they had a lot of outfits. They even, I never understood, like, they had it to where, like, they had 2 outfits that weren't ever selectable, but they were on the disc, I believe, which were, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas. They had Team Angle, like, alternate outfits, like the hoodies. And I just never understood why they were not, like, selectable. Like, I never understood in wrestling games when you had things on the disc and they were fully functional and complete, and then you were just like, yeah, but we shouldn't put this in, you know. Only a Game Shark code will activate this. Like, the light heavyweight title in WrestleMania 2000 is a design you can have for Create a Belt. But I don't know. I'm assuming their decisions by WWE were like, hey, we don't want, you know, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin having those outfits. Take them out for whatever reason. But I don't know. Maybe they just weren't finished. But then 2005, you know, the first SmackDown vs. Raw, I think the only outfits they really had in that game were the frickin' suits for, like, Evolution members that you got for, like, doing challenges. And I think that John Cena's jersey in that game as well. And maybe one other. I can't remember.
I know why you don't like Carlito, JR. I don't think the fans appreciated that one very much.
So yeah, it just got less and less. And even this game, you know, having Mass Kane as a regular outfit, I mean, that's awesome. And like they carried that on for a few more games. But I think 2008, yeah, they just didn't have it for some reason. It's like, come on, that's like probably the most iconic outfit you can have in a game.
These superstars are going to tear each other apart. That's exactly what the fans.
And you think to yourself too, like, you have the costume data, right? Why not carry it over from game to game to game, you know? I don't know. I'm just kind of yelling at shadows here or something like that. Complaining about, you know, 20-plus-year-old games almost at this point. But I don't know. That's what I do on this channel. I like to speculate what could have been, why it wasn't, and how much better it could have been. Alright, come on. I feel like I'm definitely reversing some of these.
Oh, man. That's going to change the tone of this match, JR. Yeah, and not for the better either. I wish the ref would actually pay attention to what's going on.
Man, Triple H is not messing around this match. He's actually giving me the business. I'm not going to lie. Say what you will about Triple H, but when it came to WrestleMania around this time, he did. I've said it like a million times. Booker T should have won at WrestleMania 19, but look at all the WrestleManias after that. WrestleMania 20, you know, unfortunately it's tainted now, but you know, he gave Benoit the win. It wouldn't have been as big of a deal, I say, for Benoit to win that match if it wasn't for the fact Triple H was booked so strong. And he made Triple H tap out right in the middle of the ring. Then you had Batista completely dominating, you know, Triple H at WrestleMania 21. that made Batista, and he was I'd say he was arguably more popular than John Cena at the time. Batista. It wasn't until he kind of returned it seemed like people started to sour on Batista a little bit.
You can't let somebody get away with that. Oh man, this is gonna be cool, JR. Modified swinging neck breaker. And I'm sure his opponent.
And then WrestleMania 22, he gave John Cena was already kind of made at that time. I mean, you could argue, JBL wasn't as big of a threat. And people were already starting to sour on Cena, but I think Triple H losing at WrestleMania 22 gave John Cena that air of legitimacy he needed. So Triple H, for all the crap they get, I think that stuff, the Reign of Terror is overblown. But that said, I mean, I have heard from quite a few people that, yeah, he's an asshole. And, he definitely at least had a very big ego. Like, apparently, the games, like, I think Smackdown vs. Raw 2009, there was the memo that said, yeah, don't make Triple H look weak or anything like that. So, I don't know. I mean, I have heard, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, how true that is. Because, obviously, like, it's wrestling, so there are big egos, and it's unreasonable. But at the same time, I think fans have this weird thing where, like, it's anything that's on screen, it's way too unrealistic. Man, this guy would never act like that. But then you hear a story from a wrestler off screen about something he supposedly did backstage. It's like, oh, see, no, they said this. It's the most believable thing ever, See, I knew Triple H was terrible. I knew Hulk Hogan was terrible. And yeah, they are terrible. But, like, I just think some stories are definitely fabricated. Because, like, the new version of, like, kayfabe, if you want to call it that, is, like, essentially shoot interviews and telling people, like, no, see, this guy was really an asshole. And, this is what happened behind the scenes, so this is why you should actually not like this guy and this or that. And a lot of times it is justifiable, sometimes it's over-the-top comical, like, it is a really shitty thing to do. But, like, when Hulk Hogan said Undertaker injured him because of the Tombstone Piledriver in, like, 1991 or whatever, when you can clearly see that Hulk Hogan's head didn't even touch the steel chair, but he said, I think when he went down, Undertaker said, Hogan said, oh, you got me, brother. After Hulk Hogan told him, hey, look, just my neck's messed up, don't mess it up. And Hulk Hogan tried saying that Undertaker held Hulk Hogan too tight on the tombstone that it messed up his neck. Like, it's a really shitty thing to do, but at the same time, like, to hear that story and hear the absurdity of it is just so hilarious.
He's not going to get caught with that one.
So it's tough to really tell, like, because, it's not on TV, so hearing what's actually, stuff that actually did happen or what's being fabricated for, the sake of a good story or holding up a teeny bit of kayfabe or just, hey, I didn't actually like this dude because this is what I thought that happened or whatever. So it's tough to really say. And it doesn't help that you have people like Eric Bischoff and Bruce Pritchard who are the ones who are defending, people in that situation when, like it's all sorts of horse crap and nonsense. The worst thing I've ever heard is that Eric Bischoff said Sting didn't beat Hulk Hogan clean at Starrcade 97 because Sting didn't have a tan. That is the worst excuse ever. Like, if he even said something along the lines of, oh, I don't know, like, it wasn't really Hulk Hogan, but, I just thought it was the best decision there. Like, he just said, yeah, I thought, with the screw job, it would have made sense, for Brett to come out, and we thought it was the best way to introduce him. And, if it was really just because the fast count didn't go through, I would believe Eric Bischoff then. But the fact he pretty much said, yeah, there's no way he could beat Hulk Hogan because he doesn't have a fucking tan. Are you serious, dude? You ruined the biggest event in WCW history because he didn't have a tan. Let that sink in. But that's going to be all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. But above all else, please remember to have a nice day.
He's now the